This is a warm welcome from the Department of Strategy, Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I am Dr. Shahnaz Ibrahim. I am belongs to that department. I'm the postgraduate senior tutor as well, and I am the program leader. So I am wearing different hats here, and in my capacity, I will get the pleasure and honor to meet with you and engage with you in different occasions during your studies. My specialism is entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility. These are the areas of my research and the areas of my teaching as well. And today's session is about the gig economy. What is the gig economy, and how can it create opportunities for sustainable entrepreneurship and sustainable businesses? This is what I'm going to cover today. The learning outcomes of today is I will try my best to help you to understand the concepts and dynamics of the gig economy, to understand the link of the gig economy to innovation and sustainable innovation, and finally, and I think this is most importantly, is to reflect how can this topic be influential for your career and for your future studies. I will give you some examples of students that were taught that topic, how they took this forward, and how this impacted their future career and degrees as well. We at the Department of Strategy, Innovation and Entrepreneurship in our programs, we look at entrepreneurship and at innovation from a broader view. We have a broader understanding of what that does mean. Entrepreneurship is not just about the bottom line. It's not about only making profit, but it's about making an impact. It creates social and environmental value beyond the private economic wealth. That was the classical definition of entrepreneurship about business, is to make profit. Nowadays, we are taking a holistic and a more broader perspective of businesses. Businesses are expected to do much more. It's about really the triple bottom line. It's about being profitable, being successful, at the same time having a social and having an environmental impact. This is the expectations of the society, this is the expectations of communities, and this is what the businesses are defined, and the purpose of the business is defined as today. If you look at innovation, we looking at, for example, Ted & Bassett's 4 Ps of innovation. Innovation in the classically, it was looked at introducing a new product. It's something new, creating or designing a new product. But now innovation is not only looked as a new product. It could be a new service. It could be a new process of doing things, including organic stuff in it, and producing the products in a different way that is environmentally friendly, or it could be a new product paradigm. A new paradigm means it's a new way of thinking about products and services. It's a new way of engaging customers and customers and buyers together, and the providers. And the sharing economy is one of these new paradigms. There is a culture shift. People are more now trustworthy, and of course, the technology enabled this new paradigm. What is a sharing economy? What is it? The peer-to-peer lending platforms, the car sharing platforms, the peer-to-peer accommodation. What is it, this economy that created these new opportunities for businesses to start online and to connect buyers and suppliers and providers together? This is a new paradigm and a new shift and a new innovation that businesses are tapping into. So this sharing economy is a concept that started by this influential book that I highly recommend you to read. It's What's Mine is Yours. That idea is, it was called as one of the 10 ideas that will change the world according to the Time magazine. And the authors of the book had a very interesting TED Talk. And within that TED Talk, they talked about how really this concept can change the world. And they simplified it in a very engaging way. How many things do we have that actually we use on a regular basis? Do we need the use of the product, or do we need the product itself? Do we need to own, or do we need just to use the thing that we are owning? Do we need to own everything? And it resembles, for example, the drill. Do you need the drill, or do you need the hole? Do you need the mower, or do you need just the use of the mower and to cut the grass? Do you need the hammer, or do you need the use of the hammer? So it just made us think it's a new paradigm of, do we really actually need to own things, or can we actually share them? And that introduced a new design or a new economy that cut the middlemen. So instead of having provider, seller, a wholesaler, and we have all these middlemen in the middle, why not connect customers with providers at the same time? Why not people share what they have and we stop using the middlemen in the middle? This is called the sharing economy platform. This is a platform-centric design that connects sellers with buyers within that sharing economy, enabled by the new technology that we have. So what is the sharing economy? It's a peer-to-peer based activity of obtaining, giving, or sharing access to goods and services, coordinated through community-based online services. It's a new economic model that uses the commonly available technologies that we have. We already have the technology. We already have the smartphones. We already have the laptops. We already have the internet. We already have the cloud technology. So this is what entrepreneurs and what businesses actually use. They tap into these opportunities. They take advantage of what is available, and this is what innovation is about. They take advantage of what is available, and they create new business models or create new innovations through it. So this economic model uses what is available, the commonly available technology, to enable people to get what they need from each other. It gives the people the benefit of ownership with reduce the personal burden and cost. Do we have to buy everything we need or not? So if you look at every household, every one of us, if you reflect, if you go back after this session and reflect of what you have and what actually you use, you will find that people are sharing, and they can share many, many different things that they have. People might have a spare room because their children went to college or university and they have a spare room they can rent. People can have a bike that is in their garage that they can share with someone else. People can have a truck that they are parked in their driveway, but other people can use it for 1 time, 2 times to transport things from place to place. People can have a boat that is also parked in their driveway that other people can use and borrow for 1 time or 2 times. We have loads and loads of things that we actually don't use on a regular basis, and it applies to everything. What enables that is the technology. Technology innovation is really the main trigger of enabling this form of the sharing economy. Technology makes sharing scalable. It has reduced the transaction costs. It makes sharing assets cheaper because you just go online, you are connected easily from you can access easily what other people are having. It's easier, it's quicker, and it's possible as a much larger scale. So you can actually share things that people have in different countries, in different places. Technology allowed the transfer of knowledge and the ability to create more and more of networking to motivate people to engage. For example, if you think about Airbnb, if you think about all this couch surfing, you will find lots of reviews. So the information and knowledge is now available. People can review how they dealt with this, how other people dealt with this person, whether they were had a good experience or not, whether the house that they rented from them through Airbnb was good or not, the treatment, and so the knowledge is there. The knowledge is available through this technology. And this is what we call the smack sack. The smack sack is the concept that makes use social interaction. Everyone is now on social media. It makes use of social interactions, the mobility, the analytics driven by the big data, and the cloud technology. All these together creates the smack sack, which simplifies the customer experience. You can get reviews, you can get access, you have your smartphone, you have the cloud technology, and you have the data analytics that can businesses and entrepreneurs can make use of in order to understand what is going on, and good data can be given through that. So this economy has actually also tremendous impact on sustainability. So it's a new business model that changed cultures, that shifted the focus on owning to sharing. It changed from the I to we. It's about us. It's not about one person anymore. And this is impacted on sustainability as well. How is that? People, consumers of shared assets, they can now save money. They can cut down on household expenses. You don't need to buy everything. You can actually get it from someone else. It reduces environmental impact when people share rides from a place to place instead of buying a car. Imagine how much carbon emission they can actually reduce and they can save. It can connect people to community of mutual interest. It can alleviate social problems that hyperconsumption, buying, and poverty by lowering the cost of economic coordination with communities. It can build opportunities for historically disadvantaged people. There are now some platforms that helps people to like neighborly and neighbors together to share their tasks, to share what they have. If someone, for example, have a plumber, if there is a plumber somewhere and someone else needs that service, they can actually help that plumber to go to a specific neighbor and help them do the job. So now people, someone can, a housewife sitting at home and she is able, for example, to do some, laundry or to do something for someone else. They can do that on their own houses and they can help each other, help these disadvantaged group or excluded groups from, help them to get some extra money. And use the resources. So all these is resources. Resources is not only physical thing, it could be also knowledge that people have. It could be time that people have. So this creates economic opportunity through innovation. And so it has an impact in many different things. For example, if you look at Airbnb, which is a platform that allows people with spare rooms or spare houses to rent it to other people who want to use it for 1 day or 1 week or whatever. So in a study by Airbnb, they found that because an Airbnb rental tends to be cheaper than a hotel, because of course it doesn't have the amenities, it doesn't have the services that a hotel offer, but at the same time, other people, they don't use these services. They prefer to have cheaper place to stay, a clean and nice but cheap, but they don't need the extra charges for the other things. They would rather stay longer. People stay longer and spend more money in the city compared with if they stayed in a hotel with limited time, because of course they need to pay extra. So now this is boosting the economy of many communities and societies. Imagine how many people they are buying from, how many services they are using in this city when they are staying longer. Another platform that enables people to connect together is Zupa. So you imagine, like, if there is an orphan, like a lady who's taking care of orphan children, or like some few graduates from a school or a university in a specific country, could be developing country, could be developed country, could be someone just with no resources, and they need some loans to start a small business. Zupa is another platform that enables people to form their ideas, to present their ideas, the business ideas, and connect them with someone else across the world, anywhere in the world, to give them some money and to invest in their business idea. And for up to 3 years, it is there is for up to 5 years the rate is 5.6%, and so far it lent over £1 billion. How successful is that? How many lives it has changed by having this platform that connects people that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to get any loans from banks, because of course the restrictions and the limitations of giving microcredits and microloans for other people. How many lives it touched all around the world. It's a really good platform that you can also take a look at and see how it impacted their lives. Another also a platform that can show you how these sharing economy or gig economy platforms can impact on sustainability from the environmental aspect. Even in the retail industry now, this sharing economy platform stretches to fashions. So people who have extra clothes or have like fancy dresses and they wear it one time, two times, and that's it. These platforms, there are now these kinds of platforms, one in China, one in the US, and it's expanding everywhere around the world, enables people to actually connect together and share and exchange their clothes. You know, for different ways. And we have actually a student here at the University of Southampton that graduated last year that introduced the same idea here at the university. She was influenced by these kinds of topics, and she introduced this platform as well. I'm going to share it with you later after the lecture. So how many, because one garment of clothes, in order to produce it, it consumes many liters of water. So imagine how much water you are saving, how much environment you are protecting through these kinds of platforms that connect these things together. So it's tremendous impact on sustainability, tremendous impact on the environment, more equal distribution of benefits, reallocating the wealth across the value chain. So now people everywhere can actually benefit from and participate in the economy by very few things they have. Someone just, you know, if someone just participated in these platforms, offered the service, offered the time, offered any skill that they have, they can get money now. So now it's not the money, and the economy is not only it's not limited to only people with degrees and people who can have full-time jobs, but also it's now the reallocation of wealth is across the value chain. It can support the vulnerable populations, as I mentioned. A final example is couch surfing and ride sharing ventures. So couch surfing is another platform similar to Airbnb, where it allows people who have extra couches or extra spare place in their houses to just, you know, to allow people to come and just stay the night on their couches. It's a hospitality exchange and social network website, and it really has an impact. And it presented a greater opportunity to support vulnerable people who want to travel, or people who have some spare spaces in their houses, but they can take advantage and rent this space to someone who might need it. Ride sharing as well, ventures. Drivers with extra seats in their car offer these seats to interested passenger. We have BlaBlaCar. We have different sorts of platforms that allows this as well. But a question is everything really that exciting and that positive? What is the good, the bad, and the ugly about the sharing economy? Is there any drawbacks of that platform? Is there any risks and challenges coming out from that platform? This is going to be our group discussion when you join us on January, because we will continue that lecture in innovation and technology transfer module that I co-share with one of my colleagues, and this is one of the lectures that I deliver on them. So we will this to be continued later, and we from now until we meet again, I would love you to read about this topic, talk about it, and maybe be prepared to this kind of group discussion that we will have, the risks and challenges of the sharing economy. So the takeaways from this is that sharing economy is the act of sharing one's excess capital. Any extra resource that you have, you can share it. You don't need any more to buy new resources, rather than creating a new capital. It envisions a future in which people won't outright own many products. They use instead. They will rent, they will share, they can swap, they can borrow. So it's a new paradigm. This is why it's a new paradigm according to the Ambassadors for Peace of Innovation. There are opportunities for businesses and entrepreneurs to innovate and become part of this collaborative economy, because they call it collaborative economy, gig economy, sharing economy, mesh economy. It has different names. That's why I was swapping between sharing economy and gig economy. So there is opportunities for businesses to innovate and become part of the collaborative trend and think strategically about how to shift their business models now. Do we really need to continue with the traditional classical way, or can businesses now innovate and take advantage of this growing economy? So if you have any questions, you need any resources, please email me or please connect with me also on LinkedIn or email me.